and I stepped into the class, but what I knew is that I love kids. I love kids, and I knew that I wasn't going to have a bunch of fourth graders pushing me around. That much I knew. And I absolutely loved it in ways that I didn't even fully anticipate. But I didn't think I was going to stay as a teacher. I went to law school at night after my second year of teaching. Now, mind you, I'm going to tell you this very quick story. I was living in Jersey City, New Jersey at the time because I started to have a family. My oldest son was 4 years old, and I was teaching in Brooklyn. And I decided that I still wanted to fulfill my own dream, which was to be a lawyer. And so I applied. I got into St. John's Law School in Queens. And I went from Jersey City every day, early morning, drove to Brooklyn, to Crown Heights, to teach my fourth graders, ran an after-school program for extra money after school, and then left and drove to Queens to St. John's Law School. For 4 years, I did not get home before 11 o'clock at night. And watch this. Guess what happened 2 weeks before I started law school? Guess. The car broke down. Twins. What are you clapping for over here? I would say to people, I'm having twins, and they're like, oh, that's great, I always wanted twins. All of the people who never had twins are the ones who said that they wanted to have twins. So I had twins 2 weeks before I started school. Jersey City to Brooklyn to Queens and back. And by the time I graduated, baby number 4. It's those study breaks, but that's another story. Stay with me. There's a point I'm trying to get to here. I had no idea how to be a teacher. But you know how I learned to be a teacher? And this is a big part of the message I want to leave with every single one of you. Linda Alper taught me how to be a teacher. I'm in this school, all black and brown kids, and Linda Alper was a senior teacher, older white woman. She wasn't even 5 feet tall, and she was a general. If you wanted to see teaching excellence at its highest level, that was Linda Alper. And I would just go and sit in her class and watch her teach. And my class was right next door. She was a master teacher. Right on the other side of me was another teacher who will remain nameless. And it was chaos in her classroom every day, all day. I could never understand why the school allowed that kind of chaos. It's as though they had written off all of those kids. But in Miss Alper's class, if you sent every child in New York City public schools to Miss Alper's class, everybody would be performing well. So I had to study Miss Alper and what her routines were, her systems that she set up. And so let me just give you a couple of things that I learned from Miss Alper that were reinforced by my own daughter, who's one of the twins, Aaliyah, who is now a teacher herself in the Bronx. Anybody here for the Boogie Down? That's right. So I asked this to Aaliyah, and everything that she told me was an affirmation of what I learned from Miss Alper. I said, I'm coming to talk to a group of new teachers. And my daughter's a new teacher about 6 years ago. And one of the first things she said was, don't be stagnant. Understand that you have to constantly push yourself to grow and to get better and to learn. To find a mentor, at least one, that you will learn your craft and how to get better as a teacher. Because be very clear, not every teacher is a great teacher. Most of us are struggling somewhere in the continuum. But there are some people who figured some things out. You want to find out who those folks are. whether they're in your school or outside of your school, that you can learn from. Attach yourself to those kinds of folks who are constantly getting better. Critically important that you assign and align yourself with those kinds of folks. Another thing that my daughter told me, pull out my notes, what she said. I'm very proud of her. She told me that trust is earned. It's the same thing that I learned from Ms. Alpert. You can't walk in on day one and talk about trust. Trust is developed through the relationships that you have with the students in your class. And here's one of the best ways that you earn and develop trust: by being vulnerable. You don't have to be the all-knowing teacher. Share with them your own story. That is what will develop a deeper connection from you to them. You see, there's a difference between being an instructor and being a teacher. Instructors teach subjects, content, and there's some people who believe that that's my only responsibility. I'm teaching algebra in the 9th grade, and that's it. It's up to them to get it, or they don't get it, that's on them. That's not a teacher. Teachers help their children to learn and recognize that they're not robots. And not one of them is the same. That's why teaching is hard. If you're really good at this, you spend hours, countless hours, thinking about your kids, thinking about new strategies and techniques to continue to hone your craft and to get better. That's what you have to be focused on. In South Korea, teachers are referred to as nation builders. That's what we need to be doing here in America. To lift up this profession of teaching so that the whole country has the greatest respect for every single one of you and what you do. That's the reason I went out and walked on that line today. Because I have the greatest respect for anyone who would have the audacity to think that you could stand up in front of a group of young people and teach them. Blessings to all of you. This city, this country needs you in ways that we can't even fully express. I'm sure Dr. Harris, when he comes and speaks to you, is going to let you know the world is changing so fast. And we, as teachers, have to keep up. There are far too many classes that if I walk into the class and close my eyes, it might as well be 1960. What are we looking for? What am I looking for as a chancellor? I'm looking for you to have the spirit of innovation, to think about new and creative ways to do this. We're coming out of this pandemic, and people are saying all around the country, the kids came back different. Schools have to be done differently. We can't do it the same way. But in far too many places, we're going right back to what we were always doing. We're creatures of habit. But we need you to be innovative, creative, think outside the box. Think of new and different ways to do things. When I was in my second year as a teacher, I went to my principal because I would talk to the kids all the time about going to college. And when you go to college one day, I want you to have the excitement. I had only been out of college for a couple of years myself, and I knew how much fun it was. And then I realized as I looked at the expressions of all of the kids, these kids had never stepped foot on a college campus. It was an amorphous idea that we talk to them about all the time, but we don't necessarily expose them to it. So I went to my principal, Dr. Spain, and I said, I'd like to take the kids on a trip, to where I went to school, to Rutgers University. And she said, that's great. No other teacher had even come in to say that before. And that became an annual trip. And I took another class with us as well. So it'd be about 50 or 60 students. And every single year. And they got to go into the dorms and in the student center and the classrooms and meeting the young people and seeing in their own mind's eye, hey, one day I can do this too. So it's not just teaching in a book. It's providing a level of exposure outside the four walls of the classroom. And the kids would come back and they would write in their essays. And one day when I get older and I go to Rutgers University, it's not about if they go to Rutgers or not, but the fact that we were planting seeds to help them to better understand. How can we say that we're preparing them for careers in the 21st century economy if we're not providing them a level of exposure to those careers? So there's a lot of work that we are going to be doing. There's a lot of work that I'm going to be engaged in as we continue to lift and to build. But I will tell you this as I get ready to close. You are going to need energy. Real energy. I know you all are smart. You're dedicated. You're going to be well prepared with all your lessons and everything else. But you're going to need to bring a level of energy, which is the final point that my daughter Aaliyah told me to tell you, which is, let's keep it 100. Okay? Some of this stuff is going to be very difficult and challenging. You're going to have some kids who are going to be rude and disrespectful. You know, I don't want to give you this highfalutin language and make it sound like your teachers are wonderful and it's going to be great. Yeah, okay. You're going to have to go through some stuff. But you are going to be wonderful and amazing if you stay the course. That's why even as I walked around and I said to some of you on the line, how you doing? And many, I saw some of them like, I'm good. It's still going to be fine. It was a long time to be out here, but it's good. And I had some others who made a face like, please don't even talk to me. This is ridiculous. But watch this. Here's the lesson in that. You are going to be faced with difficulties and challenges in your classroom. The question is, are you going to be the one that makes the face? Or are you going to be the one that says, I'm persevering all the way through? These kids are not going to get the better of me. I'm going to continue to learn. I'm going to continue to push. I'm going to continue to grow. And I'm going to get there. It will not always be easy. It's a testament to fortitude and perseverance. So, here's what I want to tell you is my final word to each and every one of you. My hero, my greatest hero of all time. The greatest of all times. Who am I talking about? Say it again. The greatest of all times, Muhammad Ali. He is my absolute idol for a lot of different reasons. In fact, I named my kids after him. My twins. Their names are Aaliyah and Ali. Shows you how much I love Muhammad Ali. Right? So, Ali had the famous line that you all know, which is what? Float like a and sting like a bee. Okay, but here's the part that you don't know, or many of you may not have heard. Whenever Ali got ready to go into the ring for a big fight, he recognized it wasn't just about the skills that he had as a boxer. It was an energy, a spirit that you have to summon. And he had his trainer, a guy by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. And Drew Bundini Brown and Ali would stare each other in the face. And the goal was to get Ali really fired up and ready for battle. And they would say, what are we going to do? And they would yell at each other, float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Rumble.